would you help somebody in London if they were like, I need to get to
They're trying to get to Shibuya. I go, well, first things first, let's get you to Heathrow, shall we?
And you'd hold their hand and take them on the Paddington Express. Naturally.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Hello and welcome to the Abroad Japan podcast. Probably the best way of learning about life in Japan without actually being in Japan. I'm your host, Chris Broad, and we're joined as always by England's top Japan enthusiast, Mr. Pete Dawson himself. Pete, how the devil are you doing? What's going on?
Hola, how are you doing? It's Pete Donaldson here, coming at you live from London. A little bit later in the day than usual, so I don't know where I'm going to be. I'm either going to be wild with tiredness, or I'm going to be smoothing myself into my my Sunday. How are you doing, Chris? You all right?
I'm good, although I have one problem, and that is when we record in the studio, because this microphone is overly sensitive, apparently, I can't have the aircon on. So what happens is, throughout the recording, it turns into like the deserts of Ethiopia in here, and I get very hot, which is why I have to down like a Picari sweat every 5 seconds. But apart from that, I'm really good. And
Tops off Tuesday. Come on, let's get real.
Who needs to watch June when you can be in June in my fucking studio?
The algorithm will only treat us better if you've got your top off. But people, if we just for 1 week put the artwork with you with your top off, I would be very interested to see what would happen.
I think that would just about finish off the click-through rate once and for all, to be honest.
Because people sort of, I think people are obsessed with your left bicep. I think the way you were sort of leaning on your left bicep, I think people were saying in the comments that your left bicep looked massive and your right bicep didn't look quite as big, so like you've been doing some punching or something.
God. I don't know, I think it's the... You know what, a few folks have said I look fitter recently, and I think it's the delayed reward of cycling for 2 weeks.
Right.
I notice when you work out, there's like a time delay between like working out and fitness and diet and result. And in this case, it usually takes me about a month. So, for example, if I go to the UK and eat all the chicken, pork chops and cheese, I look all right, and then a month later I look like Mr. Blobby and my skin's awful and I look like crap.
Yeah,
there's like a 1 month delay. So bear that in mind. Maybe it's just me, but maybe other people find that as well. You don't see the rewards quickly, and but I'm still not really seeing the reward of the cycle. I did think I'd lose more, and I didn't, and I'm pretty sad about that. But
that is a shame.
I've realised just yesterday, that I've been living in Tokyo about a year now, more or less. And it's people often ask me like, what's it like living in Tokyo? How do you feel? And it is good. It's great having friends around, but when I went on a trip to the sake brewery, which I think I mentioned in the previous episode, I went on a trip to Tohoku to a sake brewery, just being out in the fields and the mountains again, I was like, fuck, I'm really not somebody who's designed to sort of live in a city. It's not me. It's not who I am. So I'm struggling with that a little bit. And I need to just get out more, to be honest.
What are the kind of qualities of someone who really loves a city? Is it just kind of people who... Because as a Londoner for 20 years,
you love it.
I came from a very small town, and moving down to London, I absolutely love the busyness of a city, a big metropolitan city. But then actually living out in the sticks, coming in on certain days when the transport isn't working and everyone's just getting on each other's boobies, and it's just I just sort of get the sense that it's I'm not quite as into being a Londoner as I was back in the day. I don't know why. Maybe it's just age. Maybe it's just you've got your little house, and you like the space, and it's not something that you would get, I guess, in London. But I guess everywhere in Japan, you're not going to get that much space to yourself.
I mean, well, yeah, especially in Tokyo, where there's far less greenery than somewhere like London, for example. I can't remember the numbers, but yeah, it was quite a bit less. Tokyo is very concretey. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Yeah, there's like Shinjuku Park, Ueno Park, Yoyogi Park, but they're sort of in the north bit, and the south's there's like not as many parks around, and but I just fucking miss just going through a field or sitting by a river or looking at the sea. I love living near the sea, as I did for the first 3 years that I was here. But even in Sendai, I didn't feel this. Sendai, it's big, it's busy, it's crowded, but I didn't feel a bit overwhelmed. But in Tokyo, I most certainly do. It doesn't help that I spent the last week working on a video where I've gone to nearly everywhere in Tokyo for like an upcoming video. I've gone to I think pretty much everywhere in Tokyo, in a video that's coming out very soon, hopefully next week. So you've got that to look forward to. But maybe that's why I'm a bit burnt out from the city. It's cool being able to see friends, don't get me wrong, that's nice. And it's cool, we've got burger restaurants on tap around here. We've got yakitori and restaurants and cheese, all the food, which we don't have in Sendai. But
I'm just looking at a map basically of Japan from above, and a map of Tokyo. It's really interesting. Like it's like Japan's so green and so kind of what do you call it? Verdant.
I guess verdant.
Verdant. What a weird use of the word, or an accurate use of the word. And like just the whole of Japan is so green, and then Tokyo is so very white and grey. And I've just noticed that for some reason, have you any idea why I might have on my map of, because when you go on Google Maps, you've got all of like the things you've ring fenced before that you wanted to go and visit. Why was I going to see the Musashino rubber baseball field out in Suganami?
Why am I not surprised?
Why did I star the Musashino rubber baseball field? I don't know what's going on there. I don't know what business I had there. Very interesting.
Your guess is as good as mine, Mr. Dawson. I have not a clue. But yeah, no, you're
Maybe
right.
Satellite
view of Japan, you can see like 3 very big grey areas, right? Like Kansai and Tokyo and Nagoya. It's bonkers when you realise the scale of it all. It really is. But most of Japan is still nature. It's mountains, it's fields, it's lovely, and I need to get out there. Get me out of here. Get me out into a field. Anyway, we've got a story this week from Nadia, who says, hello, good morning, Chris and Pete. I just moved to Japan for a year of studying abroad. As a London girl and a Japanese learner, I assumed I'd handle the Japanese subway system just fine, but I was wrong. Very, very wrong. I had been in the country. I don't know why she's getting increasingly posh, turning into an old man. I'd been in the country for less than 24 hours, and I was jet-lagged and without Wi-Fi. After wandering in circles for 30 minutes, I finally decided to use my Japanese skills in a real scenario for the first time. I approached a man and in broken Japanese asked if he could help me get to Shibuya. He kindly guided me to the ticket machine and showed me which ticket to buy. When I pulled out my wallet, I realised I was 100 yen short. The man kindly moved me aside and paid for both our tickets. I insisted he'd take my change, but he refused. He mentioned that he was heading the same way and invited me to join him. As we walked, we had a fragmented conversation about my reasons for being in Japan. After 2 stops, it was time for him to get off. He stood up and with a gentle smile reminded me to stay on for 3 more stops. I thanked him warmly as he made his way to the door. The train slowed to a halt, and he turned back to give me a final wave. Just as the doors were about to close, he reached into his pocket and shoved a 1,000-yen note in my direction. I barely had time to react as he stepped off the train. Now standing on the platform, he shouted, "Good luck!" as the door slid shut, leaving me with the money in hand and a heart full of gratitude. As a fragile 19-year-old girl on her first day in Japan, this act of kindness really stayed with me and set the tone for a wonderful year ahead. Have you ever experienced this sort of kindness from a stranger on either of your travels? All the best, Nadia. No, Nadia, nobody has ever given me money on a train, but I want it now. I'm just going to do that now.
I want money on a train.
Don't know where I'm going. Give me
you
some
have money for me?
That's a lovely story, though. It's a really nice story, because especially we hear like kind-hearted tales from around Japan, but seldom Tokyo itself. So that's really nice. And,
I just think that people don't have those kind of intrusive thoughts that I have. I was on a little sort of, like Child's Railway. Like in Newquay recently, and you sort of wind your way through this little sort of village. This beautiful bucolic scene of trees and like slides and stuff, loads of stuff for kids and stuff. Anyway, so we're going through this little railway, and I'm sat on there, and the drivers have been lovely. They're these little old men who have maintained this little railway, and they've all got little drivers' hats and stuff. And we'd spent like the afternoon with them, and they couldn't have been nicer to us. Anyway, as we were pulling away on the final kind of journey back to the main train station where the car park was, they were sort of waving at all the kids and waving at them, waving at everyone as we were sort of pulling out of the little mini station there. And it's been such a lovely sunny day, and I had the burning desire just give them the finger.
Oh, you dickhead.
Just absolute just shouting something
No.
absolutely abhorrent at them, just because it would have ruined everything. And you just have these thoughts, and you go, and they entertain you in a horrible kind of like way. But you do like I just as the doors were closing, as the old man gave you a 1,000 yen note, him just giving you the finger after he'd been so nice. Yeah, get
You
stuff,
monster.
get
You're
stuff,
such a bastard.
Gaijin. It just really would make me laugh. But
Oh my god.
but when you see people who are having a bit of bother getting around on the tube system, there is a kind of like, yes, I have the chance to do something nice here. I have a chance to get involved and help them out. It's a lovely thing to do, and it's what makes you weak, really, like helping somebody out.
Would you help somebody in London if they were like, I need to get to
So trying to get to
Oxford Circus?
Shibuya, I go, well, first things first, let's get you to Heathrow, shall we?
And you'd hold their hand and take them
Yeah.
on the Paddington Express. Naturally.
Yes, exactly.
Oh god, but that's lovely. A really nice story, actually. I needed that.
Yeah.
I need some kindness. Although we had a
Need
lovely
that.
story last week about the folks who were lost in Kyoto in the rain, and somebody came out their house with an umbrella. That's nice as well. That was lovely.
Stop having to go to the big cities, then, Chris. You should enjoy yourself more. You should walk around the big city helping people out. You're the face of the Gaijin. You're the face of the foreigners. You're the face of the tourists.
Good Samaritan. Good Samaritan. I'll do that. I'll help all the people. But until then, what's more exciting, though, is Assassin's Creed, the video game, is finally coming to Japan after many years of not... Everybody's always like, come on, Assassin's Creed. You've had about 100 games come out. Can you do one in Japan? And they've gone, no. And then clearly, now that Shogun has taken off and Ghost of Tsushima was amazing, some people in Ubisoft went, wait a minute, we should probably cash in all this. We should probably have Assassin's Creed Japan finally. It's happening. Tell us about it, Pete. Tell us what's going down.
Yeah, I mean, the word assassin feels very Japanese. I know it's probably not, though. It's from Latin, guys.
It's called
from
Ronin
Latin.
Creed. Ronin
It's
Creed.
from Arabic hashashin, which again sounds very Japanese. I think, where's that come from in the 15th century? Yes, the Assassin's Creed director has basically said that Assassin's Creed is going to be heading for Japan's feudal 16th century Sengoku period. They obviously got their first glimpse of the game via a cinematic trailer released in late May that introduced new protagonist Naoi, a female ninja, and Yasuke, a real-life figure often referred to as the African samurai. Some people have criticised the choice of Yasuke as a main character over an actual main native Japanese protagonist, and questioned the historical accuracy of the real-life character's depiction within the game. Sounds a bit Gamergate-y for me, if I'm completely honest, but Ubisoft has tried very much to ensure authenticity throughout the game, and took a number of measures, such as consulting with weapons experts and travelling to Japan to get a feel for the landscape, aka a lovely jolly that you don't really see in the video game development teams anymore. They've waited 17 years so far, and a mere 6 months remain until they can get their hands on the game in Japan. I mean, this is all about Ghost of Tsushima and the one set in China, isn't it? It's like there's a real vogue for feudal Japan hack and slash action, isn't there?
And also the Sengoku period as well. Very exciting, which we've talked about. Because of Shogun, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really down for it. Obviously some people upset that one of the characters is black and not Japanese, but I think we can look past that. I don't really think that's an issue at all. I think as long as the game's good, that's all I give a shit about. And it was a real character. It was a real person as well. The first samurai was
famously
black, believe it or not. I think most people are surprised to learn that. The first foreign samurai, that is. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But I hope they just nail it. They've got a really high bar because of Ghost of Tsushima, right? And how bloody good that was. Which the first game I've played in years. I played it all of February. That's why there was no videos. I was in a room playing Ghost of Tsushima, and it was the most fun I've had since forever. And it's the only game I completed in about 7 or 8 years. So I'm actually down for this. I haven't played Assassin's Creed in 10 years plus, maybe. So I don't know. Do you still play it? you still on Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, I've not played. I mean, I just think as you get older, you have smaller and smaller free time. You know, I'm helping run a company. It's really full on stuff, believe it or not. And I think putting my time into these kind of massive, because I was a big fan of Assassin's Creed back in the day, Far Cry as well. These big kind of maps that you just spend your time just clearing out. I just haven't been able to sort of sit down and immerse myself in another, 100-hour game, which unfortunately all of these games really are, because there's just so many side quests. So it's but for all intents and purposes, the video game podcast we do, VGC video game podcast, they're pretty big fans of the series, and they're definitely back on form. One would suggest they're definitely after a few absolute stinking years. The recuts and even like the 2D remakes of certain games have been really good as well. So yeah, lovely.
It does seem like all eyes on Japan a little bit in the last sort of couple of years there, with all this media coming out about the country and the boom in tourism as well. Like, it feels like Japan's finally, as a soft power, its soft power status is finally like really paying off for it, to be honest. But
I hear that Yasuke is going to be heading straight for that Mount Fuji tourist spot, and he's going to slash everyone up.
The Lawson at the base of Mount Fuji, Assassin's Creed.
Let's just get his little Suica card out, bomb over there.
Super urban intelligent card. Don't forget, that's what Suica stands for.
It's definitely not the case.
But at last, I will finally play an Assassin's Creed game for the first time in God knows, a decade. It's a cool game. I do find it's a bit fetch questy, and the missions get quite boring quite fast. But we'll see. I won't judge a book by its cover. I will play Assassin's Creed Shadow, and I'll give you the full review when it comes out. We'll be back in just a few minutes, guys, with your stories, comments, and questions over in the fax machine.
Wow.
And we're back with the fax machine. What do we got this week from our listeners, Mr. Dawson?
Hello, AJ from Boston, Massachusetts. Hello, Cantankerous Chris and Positive Pete. I'm going to Japan in October and booked a night at a ryokan in Hakone. It comes with the meal, and I'm slightly terrified of offending them. I don't eat fish, and both my wife and I don't eat miso soup, so my question is this. Is it more rude to tell a staff ahead of time of things we don't eat so they don't waste their food on us, or to not eat the food provided and just leave it there? I want to do my best to avoid being seen as a rude American. Thank you, AJ from Boston, Massachusetts. It's a little bit like my brother can only tell a lie, I can only tell the truth. My wife and I don't drink miso soup, and I don't eat fish. It's a little bit like that, isn't it?
It is
sort of, not really.
They do ask you, though, if you have an allergy or if there's things you don't like, for the most part. So don't worry about that. They'll ask, like, do you have an allergy? Be like, no, but I don't eat shrimp, or I don't eat pork, or whatever. Like, tell people them, and it'll be fine. It is a bit rude
leaving a bit of miso. Is leaving a bit of miso a real issue? Because it's, I mean, out of all of the items that they're going to put together, I mean, it's just a bit of powder in a bit of hot water. So it's probably not. It's probably not that. They're probably not worrying about the bottom line on the old miso.
That's not powder. That's culture. Culture, goddammit. I think it's rice often. That's the one that's like, folks here don't like to waste. There's rice left in the bowl. So yeah, but no, I mean it is sort of rude to leave food here, a lot more so than back home. So definitely be mindful of that. I always hate when I take friends somewhere and we go for sushi, and then he's like, I don't like fish or something, and we've ordered like the platter of amazing tuna or whatever. So yeah, try and like be wary of that. Don't waste food. It'll come off as quite bad. We've got one here from Cheryl from Toronto, who says, hello Chris and Pete. Since the yen is absurdly low right now, what do you think is the best bang for your buck way to take out spending money? Is it better to withdraw from an ATM in Japan and pay the one-time foreign ATM fee, exchange wads of foreign currency and take a stash cash, or stick to a travel credit card with no foreign transaction fees? This is a topic I don't know much about. What I would normally do is just get some cash changed somewhere, not at the airport, back home, and then bring it over. But you're the man for the job here, Pete. What do you do? How do you pay for things?
There is... I go to the House of... Historically, again, it's a very, very long time ago, but the one that always used to have pretty decent exchange rates in central London was the House of Hanover, behind the Apple Store in Regent Street.
What about in Toronto?
I used to get out I used to get out all the money before I left, and then run out about 5 days in because because I drink heavily and lose money. Try to keep your money in one place, because otherwise you'll get home and you'll be like, oh God, I've got all my money in the wrong bag and I've found a lot of yen. But yeah, I mean, just make sure you bash all of your money. Get yourself a Suica card and try and get as much of your coins on that as possible. But
nothing worse than coming back with like a pocket full of change, right? And you will.
But don't go mad don't go mad these days, because everything except credit cards, everything nowadays.
Yeah, and Japan has got a lot better at that. There's still a few like mum and pup style shops where cash is king, but credit cards are a lot more widely used now, thankfully. Thank God. We've got one last question from Milan, who says, hello guys, Chris, have you given any thought to how long you'll stay in Japan? If so, care to share? Pete, have you planned your next trip yet? Great work on the podcast, Milan. I never have a closing date for my time in Japan. I mean, I definitely more wary in recent times, given I've done so much here and been lucky to travel the country and meet so many people and tick a lot of the boxes I wanted to tick. But I don't really know where I'd go or what I would do. So I'm having a bit of a existential / midlife crisis. And it is midlife for me, because I doubt I'll live till 80, given my fried chicken addiction. But I don't know. Honestly, I haven't a fucking clue what to do from here. I'll have to wing it and work it out. But I'll be around for the foreseeable future. I still love Japan. You know, even if I wasn't doing YouTube, I like being here. It's a great country. I love travelling around it still and getting lost in the mountains on weekends and whatnot. So yeah, I like it a lot more than the UK, I would say. But I've got nothing against the UK either. It's quite good. Probably.
But winging it makes it sound like you're not really thinking about it. I mean, winging it is just living your life, though, isn't it? And
philosophy.
You've got a purpose. And you're doing what that purpose is, and people are enjoying it. So yeah,
I have purpose.
What's the point in worrying?
Indeed. Don't worry. Go and watch the latest Abroad Japan video instead, about a man that won't let you into his restaurant unless you're fluent at Japanese. Keep the stories, questions, comments coming into Abroad Japan podcast at gmail.com or right away in the YouTube comments below. But for now, guys, have yourself a great few days. We'll see you right back here to do it all over again on the Abroad Japan podcast. Bye for now. Have a good one.